The J-16D, this is the first time that we've seen the J-16D not only in the ADIS, but running any kind of operational mission as far as I'm aware. It's been revealed, like we saw at an air show last year, but it's the first time we've seen it really in action, allowing it to fly with other combat aircraft and help clear the way for them, essentially by degrading radar, communications, and targeting systems. So with the new deployments of the J-16D, they're likely trying to test out its capabilities. So seeing it in the ADIS is probably likely for training purposes. The J-16D is an electronic warfare variant of the J-16. So essentially it carries fewer weapons, but it carries more sophisticated electronic warfare.
A Chinese J-16 fighter touches down on an American carrier deck, not as an ally, but after something went wrong over open water. The crew on USS Valiant lock eyes with the pilot through the canopy, tension thick enough to cut.
And just exercise and train.
And what kind of a message is China trying to send with this latest incursion?
So, of course, we can never be completely certain. But with these larger incursions, there usually does appear to be some kind of political element of it. Obviously, the United States has two carrier strike groups there, the USS Carl Vinson and the USS Abraham Lincoln, operating alongside the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force. In this instance, I would say it's most likely a response to the joint US and Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force exercises operating in the South China Sea area.
What happens in the next 60 seconds will define how both navies interpret this moment for years to come. This isn't fiction or a drill, it's a real tactical puzzle. How do you respond when an adversary's jet lands right on your flight line? Let's break down the sequence, second by second. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Joint military capabilities in general are very concerning for the PLA. It's far more difficult to counter military operating in unison. The last time we saw a large incursion to this extent was in October of last year, which was a similar exercise going on between the United States Navy, Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, the Australian Royal Navy, and a few others.
It wasn't battle or diplomacy that brought the jet down, it was a malfunction, or so it seemed. But what happens when a rival pilot runs out of sky above your flight line? The radar blip appeared like any other routine trace over the Western Pacific, until it dropped from altitude to sea level within seconds. That dive put it inside the USS Valiant's defensive ring before the watch officers could classify it. No transponder, no radio contact, and a direct line toward the carrier. Combat Information Center went silent for half a breath as duty officers weighed the triad of choices: intercept, warn off, or let it crash.
Because the Chinese J-16 jet fighter flew directly in front of an American surveillance plane flying in international airspace over the South China Sea, and this forcing the US Air Force plane to fly through the fighter's wake turbulence and causing the South China Sea last week. Let me go across to my colleague Srinjoy for more on this. Srinjoy, this intercept comes amid strained relations between the two nations, the US aircraft to shake. So that's the latest development coming in, wherein Pentagon has released a video and also a statement saying that a Chinese fighter jet conducted an unnecessarily aggressive maneuver during an intercept.
Standard intercept protocol says you launch two fighters to make visual contact, demand identification, and warn away any intruder. The system runs on layers of command, alert, verify, then escalate. But the chain broke here. The J-16 came in low, steady, landing gear down, declaring nothing yet saying everything. Automatic weapon mounts held their aim, waiting for human confirmation that never came. Across the deck, reaction teams cleared the approach lane.
Things obviously, the East and South China Sea are getting worse and worse. Now this, what we are seeing of this surveillance plane shaking because of the turbulence.
Klaxons echoed over the Gulf air as crew lines snapped to attention. The jet's silhouette grew larger through the salt haze until its arresting hook slammed home, steel scraping steel. The wire bit and held. In that instant, the ship caught a foreign warplane like a fly in amber. That restraint stands out. During the Cold War, proximity alone could ignite return fire. Yet here, the Valiant's crew trusted procedure over impulse. Some called it mechanical failure, Others suspected a defection or electronic interference forcing the pilot down. Either way, not one shot fired. The outcome, no flames, no casualties, owed everything to drilled discipline and cold professionalism. But the real story began the moment the canopy lifted and the pilot said nothing at all. Once the jet was on deck, every decision became an intelligence operation. Defense posture shifted in seconds. Marines locked down the hangar bay while communications techs jammed outgoing signals. The pilot was secured, the aircraft sealed, the deck cameras redirected toward the captured J-16. From that moment on, every movement aboard the USS Valiant was about containment and information control. Command understood what they were holding. A Chinese frontline fighter, intact, sitting on American steel. Intelligence officers flooded the ready room, laptops powered, cables running, command phones open to Washington. The isolation protocol went live, no external transmissions, no unsecured electronics. The goal, deny Beijing any chance of remote erasure or data retrieval. Inside the sealed bay, the scene shifted from combat readiness to forensic precision. Engineers mapped access ports and data lines, hunting for anything the jet might transmit back. Meanwhile, linguists and analysts confronted the silent pilot, cataloging every gesture and note. His refusal to speak gave the situation a different weight. Silence could mean fear, or it could mean discipline. Historical echoes weren't lost on anyone. Decades earlier, a downed aircraft had once reshaped global radar design. Now another could expose new composites, sensor algorithms, or signal processors. That kind of intelligence could shift doctrine faster than any missile test. As word traveled up the chain, planners faced the political edge of the incident. Was it a mechanical emergency or a cloaked operation designed to probe U.S. response times? Either narrative carried risks. Beijing would demand return of pilot and plane, Washington would delay under the banner of safety inspection. The real work unfolded in those hours, duplicating files, scanning stealth codings, cataloging avionics benchmarks. For the analysts, the victory wasn't about trophies or territory. It was knowledge, captured and preserved. What happened next turned a one-minute emergency into a case study in restraint under geopolitical fire. One foreign jet on an American deck became a test of restraint under pressure. The crew faced seconds of chaos, yet discipline held, preventing an event that could have spiraled into global confrontation. Every movement, clearing the landing path, managing interceptors, isolating the threat, showed calm under extreme risk. The lesson is simple: command decisions made in silence often decide peace or war. The Valiant's crew proved that control is sometimes the strongest form of power. Comment your choice below. Would you have opened fire, or held your nerve? Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.